Okay, so I'm going to show you how to get started on your two-point perspective city street corner. So right now we're going to focus on the first 4 things on your list of requirements. There's a nice little checklist sheet here for you. So we need at least 10 buildings, at least 1 alley, buildings of various heights, and buildings that are behind other buildings. Okay, so we're going to kind of do that all together. So the first thing you need to do is draw a horizon line. Okay, you're going to have to erase this eventually, so please make sure you draw lightly. I'm going to draw a little bit darker because I need you to be able to see it in the video. Okay, so I'm fairly close to the center of the paper. I'm just going to draw a line all the way across. That's the horizon line where the ground meets the sky. So at each end of that line, you're going to put a dot. These are your vanishing points. So your next step is to place the corner of your first building. So it's going to be a vertical line. I'm going to put mine pretty close to the center. Okay, you don't want to go quite down to the bottom, so I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to go up to about there. Okay, so that is the corner of my first building. So then you need to come from the bottom point of that line, take that to this vanishing point, and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so this is where all my buildings are going to be. This is basically the street. So next thing you need to do is drop a line down from the top of that line. Everything on this project needs to go to one of the vanishing points unless it is a vertical line. Every other line should go to a vanishing point. So now I've got my first building started. I need to make the sides. So just decide how wide I want it. Remember, you have to fit 10 buildings in here. Actually, you have to fit 15 in your final. So you don't want to make it huge for your first one. Okay, so here's my first building. So now I can erase the rest of this line. And the rest of that line. So here's my first building. Now your next step is to add buildings to that. So we're going to try some buildings of various heights to check that off the list. So if you want to make a building that is shorter than your first building, you will just kind of draw right off the edge of it. Just decide how high you want it to be. So that would be the top of the building. And then draw the side, which is going to be a vertical line. So there's my second building. If I want to make a building that's taller, I'll do that on this side. You have to extend your line. Okay, so I'm just going to make that line just a little taller. And then I take it to this vanishing point. And this vanishing point. Okay, so then I have to make the sides. So I'm going to put a side here. And then I also have to make one over here to show where the building stops. So then I just erase this. And this. So now I am up to 3 buildings that are connected, and they are 3 different heights. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to focus on is making an alley. So as you can see, I used the side of my first building to make my other buildings. Okay, that makes them connected. If I don't want them to be connected, if I want a space in between the buildings, which would create an alleyway, then I need to make a whole new line. So I'm going to leave a little bit of space here. And I'm going to draw a new line for this next building. Now when you are drawing lines to the vanishing point, if you hit another building, just go ahead and stop. You don't want to draw through your other buildings. I'm going to draw my sides, which will be vertical. Make this side go to about right here. Erase the extra lines. Okay, then if I erase this, and I'm going to bring that point to this vanishing point, like so, then it looks like there is an alley, and you could drive right into that little space between the buildings. Okay, so I've added a few more buildings using the same techniques. At this point, I think I'm ready to go ahead and get rid of my horizon line. So I can go ahead and erase that. And then the next thing we're going to do is put some buildings behind these buildings, because as you can see, they're all in a row at the very edge of the street. So to put a building behind another building, you have to bring up a line for the corner of that building. I would try not to make it line up with another one of your vertical lines. So I'm just going to kind of put it in the middle of this one here. So draw a vertical line coming up from the building. Go to both sides. Again, don't draw through your buildings. So as soon as you hit one of those other buildings, go ahead and stop. And then you have to decide where the sides need to be. So I'm going to bring this side about right here. And we'll put this side about right there. And then I can erase my extra line. Okay, so right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 buildings. So I need 2 more for the practice. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up 2 more buildings in the back. Put my sides in. Again, try not to let these vertical lines line up with any of these vertical lines, because it just kind of looks a little bit awkward. Okay, so now I need 1 more. I think I'll put it over here somewhere. And once you get good at it, you don't really have to draw a line all the way over. You just need to draw it as far as you think you need it. That way you have less erasing to do. Okay, so I believe that's 10. I'm going to recount 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that is 10. So now we are going to go ahead and add the sidewalk. So I'm going to make the sidewalk about that wide. So I'm going to go ahead and add this point here. You want that point to line up with your very first corner that you made. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that to this vanishing point. And then draw the other side. Okay, now to make your sidewalk really realistic looking, you have to draw sort of a curve. So if we look at my finished example here, you can see the edge of the sidewalk and how it's kind of raised from the street. So that's kind of what we're going for. So basically, just bring a little small line down right there. that curb in. Okay, so now I just need to make the space for my alleyways. Okay, so remember that all lines have to go to a vanishing point unless it's a vertical line. So these are not going to be vertical lines, so I already know right away it's going to have to go to a vanishing point. So when I'm working on this alley, I'm going to go to the opposite vanishing point. So I'm going to bring a line there, and then make my thickness. And then on the other side. Forgot to put the thickness in on that one. Let's see here. Just a little bit of thickness there. Okay, so then I can erase. Draw a little line right here. Okay, so now we have that gap so that cars can drive in there. Then we do the opposite side to the other vanishing point. Erase the gap, and we have our alley back. Okay, so your last step for the sidewalk is to put the lines in where the concrete sort of separates there. Okay, so a lot of people have trouble with this. So when you're working on this side of the sidewalk, your lines go to that vanishing point, and when you're working on this side, they go to that one. So you're working with the opposite vanishing point. So we start at the corner. I'm going to line it directly up with my building. So start there. Another thing to remember is that as things get further away, they get smaller. So I'm going to start kind of big. Always going to the vanishing point. And then as we get back here, they're going to get smaller. Okay, so as you can see, I have completed my sidewalk. I've done both sides. So the next step would be doors and windows. Okay, so you have to have a door on every building, at least in the front row here. So I'm going to show you how to do a door. So the top of your door must go to the vanishing point. So I'm going to go ahead and make a door on this one right here. I'm going to put it right in the middle. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a line there, going to that vanishing point, and then draw the sides. Okay, so now I have my door, and then you just need to put some sort of a handle on there. So it could be, it could be long like this. It could be just a regular doorknob.